Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm filming an eyeshadow palette ranking video. So if you guys want to see me sweat, then just keep watching. If you guys are new to my channel, welcome. My name is KARENHARRIS. I like to film tan girl friendly makeup videos here on YouTube. I do post quite often, so highly recommend subscribing, turning on that bell so you're notified every time I post, and without further blabbering, let's get into it. Okay, so every month I sit down and I recap the previous month's eyeshadow palettes that I tried, and I rank them all, and I give you guys like mini reviews on all the palettes. And if you watch this video every month, you know I always sit down and I'm like, oh my god, it was so hard to rank these. They're all my favorites. They're all so pretty. But this month in particular, September 2023, will go down in history as one of the most launches and some of the best indie launches that I've experienced with my long time here on Beauty YouTube. I am not mad about it, but holy smokes, we had some amazing eyeshadow palettes, so I was like sweating. I was literally sitting here like organizing, reorganizing. Luckily, I tried some really crappy palettes from some mainstream brands, so the bottom section was covered, but picking number one, I guess it was hard in a way, but it was also really easy. It's kind of a no-brainer, so I think I've teased you guys enough. Let's get into the 17th spot. So, of course, the honor of the worst palette I tried in the month of September has to go to the Too Faced Maple Syrup Pancakes palette. Now, if there was less competition, maybe this palette would have stood a chance, but what on earth is this color story? And why on earth did I convince myself that I needed to experience it firsthand? I feel like it's kind of just a mishmash of really dull jewel tone shades. They're not even like very bright, vibrant jewel tones. They're very like muted jewel tones with like random pops of pink and purple. So I guess there's like a royal theme to these pancakes. I don't actually know what this color story has to do with maple syrup pancakes. I also don't know. So overall, this is definitely having me wonder, like, what was I thinking? And now that I said that out loud, I think I know what I was thinking. There was a bit of a lull at the start of September, and Ulta was like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna drop Urban Decay, Tarte, and Too Faced holiday palettes. I'm gonna confuse them, and they're gonna be like, oh, they've got all of this Ulta money, let me just spend it all. So I spent all of my Ulta cash on these palettes, and I guess I wish I could take my points back, but it is what it is. At least we could give it a nice little roasting in this video. In 16th place, another palette that has me wondering, what was I thinking buying this palette? It is the ColourPop Getting Fresh palette. Now, I was really interested in this because it's a mega palette. It's a half neutral, half like green peachy palette. I thought it was kind of an interesting color story. I will say it's probably a good palette. I have only used this palette one time, but the look I did with this palette, I did not enjoy. I was pretty harsh with myself. I will say on camera, it looked nice. I was probably just being very critical, but I feel like it's a solid neutral palette or like a solid green eye look. Like you can do really nice monochromatic looks with this, but the competition is fierce, so I'm ranking this at number 16. Okay, in 15th place, you're gonna see that I'm getting a little bit tired of the all shimmer palettes. Now, these ones are from the drugstore. They're the newest launches from Flower Beauty. So we have Coastal Lights and Garden Lights, and the original two palettes from this all shimmer lineup that Flower Beauty has done. I'm sure they've broken all kinds of records with those palettes. They're iconic. They're like so hard to get a hold of. I remember seeing people constantly on like Facebook and like different pages I'm a part of complaining that they couldn't get a hold of the originals. These ones are nice. I feel like the colors aren't that great. They're okay. They're not my favorite. I prefer the originals, so because of that, I'm ranking this in 15th place. Okay, in 14th place, we're going to give it to the Tarte Maneater After Dark palette. This is a nice palette. I do prefer the first palette, in my opinion. I will give Tarte points for trying to kind of do something a little outside of their comfort zone with the pop of blue in this palette. I just really love how giftable this palette is. It's so nice and sleek, and it's very like grown up looking compared to most of Tarte's eyeshadow palettes. So it's a very giftable palette. It's very elegant. I feel like if somebody got me this for Christmas or my birthday, I would feel like they actually spent like a good amount on me and, you know, got me something really thoughtful. Not that material things matter, but if that's something you consider when you shop for gifts, I feel like this is a very special giftable palette. But as far as like me evaluating it with my experience of indie eyeshadows and like my preference for eyeshadows, I'm gonna rank this a little bit lower. Okay, in 13th place, you're gonna see that I'm getting a little tired of all shimmer palettes. So this isn't a new palette by any means, but it took me this long to try it. I think the Adept Seahorse palette launched like right as I was about to have my second baby, or it like arrived after I had her or something. Either which way, it was one of those palettes that kind of fell by the wayside, and I was so hyped for Sumerian Sunset, so I decided to use this in like a chatty video, and I did, and it's lovely, and Adept has lovely eyeshadows. There's nothing wrong with this palette. It's just that I think that I have learned that at this point I have every like shimmery multi-chrome palette that I need. So now I'm looking for color stories that are a healthy balance of mattes and metallics, and I don't really need like special shades in every single palette, because let's be real, special shades are expensive, and some of these like indie eyeshadow palettes are getting really pricey. So I think the magic of a good palette is going to be a good balance of special shades, metallic shades, and mattes. So we'll see what's to come, but that is in the 13th spot. Okay, in 12th place, honestly, I'm shocked by this palette. I am so shocked. This is the Urban Decay Heavy Metal palette. I honestly thought this was going to be the dud of the 3 main holiday palettes that I purchased. I thought this one was going to be the worst, and I was thinking like Tarte and Too Faced, but this one actually turned out to be the best. I feel like if you are looking for a gift for somebody that is a Ulta or you know, makeup lover in general, but they like love to shop at Ulta and Sephora, this might be a good one. Also, so nice to see Urban Decay making some kind of headway with their formula. So this palette felt really nice. I hope that they do more daring, bold color stories in the future. Let's all just like try and manifest that for Urban Decay. I was pretty impressed with this one. Okay, so in 11th place we have an older palette. This is the Norn's palette. This is their new version of the palette. So Oden launched the Norn's collection I think a couple of years ago, and I bought it with my own money. And then very recently they remastered it, so they updated the packaging, they updated the formula. Mine looks like hell because my toddler got into it and played with makeup, but I was still able to swatch the original versus this palette. So you guys need to check out that video if you're interested in this. I think this palette is still gorgeous. It still has it. It's got an amazing formula, a really fun color story. So yeah, I did actually buy this one with my own money as well, just because I love Oden's Eyes so much. In 10th place, we have the Fall Romance palette by ABH. And this one is ranking a little bit lower because it is beautiful, but it doesn't have a light matte shade, and I really feel like it needed one. It's very like on the mid to deep end, which I'm not complaining, because I feel like a lot of the times when an eyeshadow palette has a light matte, it's usually like a nude or like a bone color or like a brow bone shade. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a light matte green, a light matte purple, something that would have given us some contrast with these beautiful deep fall shades. So for that reason, it's getting docked, it's getting held back in the class, and this is number 10 from ABH. Okay, in 9th place, we have the Haunted palette from Doodles by the Bunny and Gourmand Girls. I'm placing this in the 9th spot because I feel like this is so similar to the Spooked and the Nightshade palette. So I had to rank these somehow, and I feel like I gave this the 9th place because I felt like there was some repetition here. They're not identical, but what would motivate you to buy this palette if you already have the other two? So for that reason, I am ranking this at number 9. Okay, in 8th place, I bought this palette because of girl math, but this is the Sun and the Sea palette from Bella Beaute Bar. This is such a pretty, like, half neutral, half blue palette. It has a very, very beautiful formula. I bought this a while ago, so I'm a little bit late to the party on this one. There are some other Bella Beaute Bar palettes in this video that are ranking higher, that are newer palettes that have an even more interesting color story in my opinion. So if you think this is beautiful, wait until you watch the whole video because I think they've done even better with some of their Halloween palettes, but this is a gorgeous one nonetheless. I love their metallics, very creamy, very vibrant. Let me just swatch a little bit, but of course I did do a video on this palette on my channel. I think I just did like a testing new makeup. So yeah, if this color story appeals to you, check this out on their website. Okay, in 7th place, I had to give it to the Warlock palette from Fantasy Cosmetica. This is a 9-pan palette, but it packs quite the punch. So it's got some beautiful metallics. Again, I have to swatch the metallics. Like, what's the point of swatching the mattes? But these are so stunning, great price point. This is also a women-owned small indie brand out of Washington, I believe, and so stunning. I think this is my favorite color story that they've done, and I just love this brand. They're small, they have a theme, they stick to it, they launch interesting color stories, and they added some lip oils with this collection, so I just think they're very unique and very curated, and I love that. Okay, guys, in 6th place, we have the Harvest Moon palette from Ensley Rain. Now, their last palette that I tried, the Strawberry Moon palette, was my number 1 palette of August. I'm ranking this one in 7th place because I have the same problem with this one as I did with the ABH palette. I feel like it's a very grungy, dark palette, so I feel like this palette would have really benefited from a light, colorful matte. There are some mattes down here, but I feel like the shades are so similar. We would have been okay if we just had one, like, warm brown. So yeah, just needs just a little tweak here and there. The pans are removable, so you can add a lighter shade if you want to. The other thing, again, with this palette is that it is a very expensive palette. It has beautiful, beautiful, like, multi-chrome shades, so that is why it's so expensive. But I would like to see brands do something a little bit different to try and make their palettes a little bit more affordable for consumers as well, because not everybody can afford to buy an $80 palette every month. So we'll have to wait and see what the indies throw at us for the holiday season, but those are some swatches from the Harvest Moon palette. Okay guys, it's time for the top 5. So in 5th place, we have the beautiful Devour palette from Unearthly Cosmetics. They actually just announced that this is going to be sold as a single, so that pre-order is on their website. I will link it down below. I am a Unearthly affiliate, so if you use the code KHMAKEUP on the Unearthly website, you can save as well. I will make a small commission on that. If you do use my code, I do appreciate it. I did create a look with the entire Halloween collection. I did buy that one with my own money, and I will try and remember to link it down below for you guys, but I'm so pumped that they decided to offer this as a single palette. I know so many of you had said in the comments of my video that you weren't really interested in the other products, you just wanted to buy the palette. And I remember hearing from Unearthly that they weren't going to do that, but I feel like maybe enough of you begged, and so they obliged, which I'm so happy about. So that is the beautiful Devour palette, and it is in number 5. Okay, in 4th place, we have the Sickly Sweet palette from Blend Bunny Cosmetics. You guys know I love this palette. It's my favorite pastel palette of all time because they added some dark, colorful mattes. It really is a game changer for me that those were included in this palette. So I feel like Blend Bunny just does the best. They have so many cool palettes, and I feel like I could go on and on about it. But anyways, you guys know, if you've tried this brand, how great they are. And I'm so happy that she created this palette. Okay, friends, in 3rd place, we have the Adept Sumerian Sunset palette. This palette is fall in an eyeshadow palette. I don't know how else to explain it. These multi-chromes are just, they're just so good. I believe they had a restock, and I'm thinking this palette is sold out. I don't know off the top of my head, but if I had to guess, it is sold out. But I did see they're bringing back their arrow-inspired palette. So this video might not be up by the time that happens, but hopefully you guys were able to get your hands on the arrow-inspired palette. But if you guys have been wondering about the Sumerian Sunset palette, highly recommend checking out some videos, being ready, because I know this is going to restock next year. And I don't know if you'd want to miss it, especially if you love all things like fall. These are like the fall shades right here. Such a great palette. I love the packaging. 10 out of 10 for Adept on this palette. Okay, I totally cheated for the top 2 palettes. So in second place, I'm like, stop, I'm not gonna pick between these two because they're so beautiful. So in second place, I'm gonna give it to the Basic Witch palette and the Recently De-Influenced palette from Bella Beaute Bar. Oh my god, are you kidding me? I created the most beautiful pink look with the Basic Witch palette, and this palette honestly kind of reminds me a little bit of Sumerian Sunsets from Adept. But look at these two together. Like, I could cry. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. I think both of these palettes are sold out, but they're available for pre-order if you're interested. So stunning. Bella Beaute Bar has come so far with their eyeshadow formula. I don't even know what to swatch, but let me just swatch a few of the metallics. So this is from Basic Witch, and like, so good. Like, just so good. Just like, I don't know what else to tell you. They're just so good. And then this one, oh my god, are you kidding me? Like, are you kidding me right now? I'm just swatching all of these gorgeous shades. So yeah, absolutely fabulous. I ranked them together. Sue me, come for me, yell at me in the comments. I don't care. They're both good, and I cannot pick between my favorite children, okay? Okay, so in first place, you might accuse me of being biased, but even if I wasn't best friends with this person, I would still be ranking these at number 1. But I do need to provide a disclaimer. I am very biased. I love Angie. She's one of my dearest friends. So, of course, I am so excited that her collaboration is out now for you guys to enjoy. So we have the Trick or Treat palette, which, I mean, come on. Do you see this palette? And then we have the little Ghost palette. So this is her take on Halloween. I love that so much. And this is the little Ghost. 2 palettes. Could we ask for anything better than that from Angie? I love her. She is the queen of color in my eyes. She's the one that got me wearing all kinds of colorful eyeshadows. I used to be a neutral gal through and through. If you go back far enough on my YouTube channel, you will find videos of me just like raving over the 35O palette from Morphe. And now you couldn't convince me to touch that palette with a 10-foot pole. Actually, you might be able to convince me for like the low price of $10,000. I will accept $10,000 to talk about that palette. I'm not gonna lie. But these are gorgeous. You guys know I love Oden's eye, so I'm so happy. I know these are limited edition. I think they still have plenty in stock, so if you're waiting for a sign, this is your sign. These palettes are gorgeous. I created 4 looks with these, so check out my video if you didn't get the chance to. Those are my number 1 palettes of September. I feel like I deserve a pat on the back, okay, because that was hard. That was so hard to do. So many amazing palettes. October is kind of going to be tough as well, although I feel like in October I'm just like picking up the palettes that I couldn't cover in September. So we've got some good ones, but I feel like September was really where it was at. For the year of 2023, I feel like all of the best eyeshadow palettes came out in September and maybe August. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed seeing me sweat. Let me know what your number 1 palette of September was. You guys know I love chatting to you in the comments. Are you surprised by my picks? I feel like you wouldn't be if you knew me, but I always love to hear from you guys. So thank you so much for checking out this video. Give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye!